Hey everybody, Bernie Floresca from Career Services. Today is January 22nd, 2025, and this is the one of the first group sessions that I'm going to share with the LinkedIn group that talks about resumes. So, Adam, if while we're at it, you said it wasn't great, and did you notice, Adam, how you were trying to explain your situation to me?
Yeah.
The problem with a resume is it can't do that. So it's really just a matter of it's like black and white. However you're presenting yourself, when they see it, it's either they want to talk to you or they're not. Based on everything that you shared so far, I'm suspecting that the way that you presented yourself isn't in the best light, and that's why you're getting the results that you're having. So while I share the following screen, I want you to get your resume ready and let me share something first so that we're all on the same page. Dundee, I haven't checked in with you. Are you hearing all of this, Dundee?
Yes, yes, I'm
Okay.
here.
So the 10 o'clock session is supposed to be resume. And then at 11 o'clock, we're going to start talking about career strategies. And if you guys notice, what I should really be talking to Adam about is strategies. And if you're noticing, I start with the resume. So that's why I said in the email that I sent you guys, most of you could benefit from both sessions, but the interest of coordination, 10 o'clock, we'll focus on the resume, 11 o'clock with the strategy. So um, before I get any further, is everybody part of the LinkedIn group? I think Adam, you just joined yesterday, right?
Yeah, I'm a part of
Yeah.
it.
So this is why we talk about being in the resume, because even though we're done speaking, like for example, both sessions today are going to get done sometime after 12 o'clock. But with the resource that I'm about to share with you, um, I guess Bernie Floresca doesn't leave you. And that's why it's a resource that's available to you 24/7. So I'm just Illinois Tech. Dundee, you're part of this group, right? This LinkedIn group?
Yes, yes,
All right.
I'm.
When you click
Yep.
Illinois Tech Career Services, you don't want the people entry, you want the groups entry. And if you're not part of it, it's going to say join here. If you're part of it, it says view posts, of which you should be able to do, Adam. Aside
Yeah.
from sending out regular information, pretty much weekly, sometimes daily, that covers all sorts of issues that students come to career services with. Um, you will notice that if you just scroll down, you'll find what's called an index. It's a 24/7 job search study guide. So if you just scroll down, just see until you see it. See, there it is again. There it is again. This document goes to what you're seeing on the screen. We put it on this website so that we could track it, what links people are clicking, and then you have all the topics that we have content on. If you have a question that hasn't been answered here yet, we're more than likely going to add that category, but I'm starting today's session with resume for Adam's situation. FYI, when you go to any of these links, they will go to the same document. And like I said, the purpose of putting it here with a at a glance capability is so that we can track what students are needing the most. Once you come to this document, we can go to Control F or Command F, hashtag resume. So I hope you're following, Adam, because when we have these sessions, we want you to go back and forth with these resources so that it becomes more real to you in connecting what your issues are with whatever topic we're talking about. Okay, so under
Yeah.
hashtag resume, the document that we want is resume design principles. And I just want you to eyeball this, Adam. So you
Mhm.
said it wasn't necessarily the best. Usually, the reason a resume isn't effective is because they're not addressing number one and number two. Okay. So when we say number one, you got to think like the hiring manager. And like you were saying earlier, Adam, you're saying if you don't have a whole lot of experience, people aren't looking for that, but there are ways to market yourself. So if you don't have a lot of work experience, I heard you say that you didn't have any internships. So one of the ways around that is talking about your projects. Okay.
Hmm.
So when we go back to the index, if you go to, I'll just close this, otherwise we'll get confused with everything. Under hashtag resume, you see that you have a bunch of resume workshops, very similar to this call that we're on. And there's 9 that's being shared. I'll probably share this as the 10th. And each one has a different flavor based on who's attending. So this one specifically is Adam's case, wherein he's applying to all these jobs and he's not getting any traction. And the first point that I'm going to check with Adam is the resume. He already didn't feel that confident about how he was presenting himself. That's why I'm like taking it back to the information. So if you notice, you have the workshops, that's like 9 hours of recordings, and then you have case studies. So back to what I was saying to you, Adam, it's a matter of presenting yourself. So we're giving an example here. Case study 5 is a freshman who just graduated from high school. So one would think that this person doesn't have a whole lot to offer whenever they're applying. So let's take a look at the old resume. And Adam, tell me whether this looks familiar, or yours a little bit better, etc. Okay.
Hmm.
So this was Benjamin's old resume when he came to career service. Like I said, he just graduated from high school. All right. He has his high school credentials on the resume because he has nothing else to put. He put in skills and then volunteer work. All of these seem unrelated, very similar to what I heard you say, Adam. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And then he has honors and then projects. So this is what I was talking about earlier also. When you don't have a whole lot on your resume, usually the secret sauce is in the projects, whether they're in classroom or personal. So take a look at how Benjamin's resume looked in the beginning, but let us now go to the better version. And we may have to do something similar for you. Adam, I want you to comment on the transformation and how this relates to you. Remember, Benjamin is a high school student.
Well, he added a summary at the top.
Yes.
Um,
What is it saying?
oh, it's talking about, I guess, his projects that he's done.
Is
He's developed
this
something.
is this attractive to a hiring manager, like let's say looking for an internship?
I'd say more so than the other one. Yeah, 100%.
Okay. And why is that?
It looks cleaner, and I think he presents himself a little better in this one.
How
Because it
better?
starts
Because
off
that's what's going to apply to you, Adam.
at
How
at the
better?
top. It's at the top. It starts off with what he's done, and like his side projects and stuff that he's done.
Okay.
Um, so I think that, I mean, I know I've heard it a million times. Oh, these people don't have a lot of time to read your resume. They'll just skim it or they'll look at the high points. So,
Hmm.
um, what he's done at the top, I think, is
So
better than what it was
when I
before.
heard what he's done, I want to make the distinction, Adam, that when you present yourself, you don't just tell people what you've done, okay? Because
Yeah,
what you're done is kind of boring. When you're applying to a job, they expect you to know something, right? And that's why, to your point, people aren't calling you because the way you presented yourself, it's like you haven't even done it, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
if you take a look at this design principles that I talked about earlier, think like a hiring manager in the job description, and then ensure that the resume highlights what?
Highlights results,
And
accomplishments.
accomplishments.
Yeah,
Okay. For everybody on the call, I'm highlighting that because just to say that you did it isn't good enough, especially in a very competitive market. Does that
yeah,
make sense?
yeah.
You have to show them that you have results. Okay. And that's exactly what Benjamin did. He's a high school student, but the results he presented were from his projects. And that's why I was saying, Adam, that's probably the route that we need to take. Any questions from anybody so far about anything that I've shared? Otherwise, I'm going to Adam's resume directly. And then I want people to help me assess Adam's resume based on design principle number 1. Okay. Think like the hiring manager in the job description. Were you thinking of the job descriptions, Adam, when you created that resume?
Yeah, for the most part, I think.
Okay. So that's good that you really addressed it. But I think what's missing was you failed to highlight the results that you had relative to what they're looking for to the best possible, that you can, right? Because to your point,
Yeah.
you don't have a whole lot either. Before we go to your resume, I want to cover number 2. Hiring managers have very little time, which you alluded to, Adam. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's why if you're conscious of the fact that they don't have a lot of time, you really want to give them what they're looking for in the easiest, fastest way. And then don't give them extra information. You really need to give them what they're looking for, also known as relevant, based on the job description that they set. What did you get out of that, Adam?
Like you need to have like highlights or like I don't know, things to catch their eye, right? Just so
Things to
that
catch their eye. And the way to catch their eye is the job description. They wrote that. They told you what they want. So the way to catch their eye is to quote unquote speak their language. And that's
yeah.
why giving them extra stuff, which is a strategy for some folks, they're like, hey, the more information I put on the resume, the more attractive I am. And they pack it with so much information. But like we said earlier, a lot of people are not strategic about the fact that the reader is very busy. So to overcome that, you really need to address what they say they wanted. And then you talk about your results relative to that. Any questions about 1 or 2? And then we're going to jump to Adams. And then I want to hear Kushagra and Ivan give me some feedback. Dundee, I'm kind of like giving you a free pass for now because this is our first interaction together. So I'm going to stop sharing. Adam, please share. And then I want to hear from Kushagra and Ivan. Ivan, did you get your computer all set up?
Yes, it's working.
All
Thank
right.
you.
So after Adam shows us his resume, I'm going to go to yours.
You can see it now.
Can you please make it bigger so everybody gets to see it? All right, cool. So you graduated in 2024. All right. I want to hear feedback from Kushagra and Ivan because we've worked together for a little bit and I'm actually testing how you've retained the information that's been shared with you looking at somebody else's resume. So go, Kushagra.
Yeah, could you please scroll down if you have any projects?
I don't have projects. I have my research experience, and that's it.
Okay.
There are projects I've done in the past, and I can put on there. It's like, what do I take away? Should I take away this section and put it in there,
I think
make this
skills,
more concise?
you can make skills concise and you can put, I think research experience would be more aligned to the internship. So you can put research experience on the top of skills. And you
How
can
do I
save a
make?
lot of space. Like instead of every skill to a new line, it's taking a lot of space. You can enter multiple skills in the same line, like programming languages, and then after
Yeah.
that, C, C++, like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And in research, you can highlight the accomplishment also. Like it is, I think it's more task-based now. But if you have made any improvements, so you can compare them, any statistics if you have, according to. Because I
Okay.
think research is valued a lot for internships and jobs. So yeah, you can put it definitely on the top.
Okay.
Very
Yeah,
good
and
feedback.
instead of experience, so if you mean that it's not aligning with your role which we are looking for, so you can definitely replace it with some projects which are aligning if you have done any in the coursework.
Okay.
What did you get, Adam? Very good, by the way, Kushagra.
Thank you.
So, I know I have projects that I could put on here, or I've got
Okay,
some.
okay. Hang on. That you can put on here. The way that you said that is kind of, I'm concerned that you didn't catch what I said in design principle number 1. We said we need to study the job description. We need to find out what they want. And then we start talking about results and accomplishments relative to that. So when you said you have projects, speak
Yeah.
from that perspective that I just gave. So say what you said again about your
So
projects, please.
I guess based on the job description that I'm looking at, should I change out which project I've done depending on what it aligns more with the job description?
Absolutely. You're asking me the question, but think about what you ask. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? So you see
Yeah.
right now, that's why I'm catching your attention to it, because you're like, oh yeah, I can just put projects here. But I think you forgot the big point that I was trying to make. It's really about the reader of your resume. What are they
Mhm.
looking for? And what do I have to offer relative to what they're looking for? It's not just
Yeah.
putting information on just because I have it. All right. Are you
Yeah.
noticing how I'm like fine tuning your languaging, because the way you speak it is your understanding of what I just shared. So I'm not just talking to you, Adam. It's actually really for everybody and for the people listening to this call. Back to design principle number 1. What is it that they're looking for in the job description? And number 2, what are my results in what I have? And to your point, Adam, what you have right now is like your research experience. And that's what Kushaga was saying. Research might probably be more. So even when you fine tune the words that you have, and Kushagra again caught it, he said most of your bullets are just descriptions. They're not talking about results. So Adam, you will benefit from me going to Ivan's resume, and you will see some of the other aspects that we're talking about, and it'll become clearer to you what we're
Mhm.
saying. So before I go to Ivan's resume to kind of like highlight some of those points, did you have any questions about Kushagra's feedback
Um,
or questions in general?
I guess this not being relevant to almost anything that I'm applying to. I mean,
Mhm.
yes, it's like I don't know, what is it, like 8 years of work. I
Yeah,
mean,
that 8 years of work is not, it's not chopped liver. Okay. So what you're going to do, Adam, you're going to keep Celtic Cross project manager. You're going to keep the dates, and then don't waste their time with the bullets.
okay, all right,
Okay. Because knowing, I mean, because that's, even though it's not directly related, 8 years is nothing to sneeze at. So you still want them to know that within those 8 years, you were in school full time and you still had this job, blah blah blah. That still speaks volumes, but don't let them read stuff that's not relevant. So the
okay,
relevant part is that you were a project manager at these dates.
okay,
So we're going to keep that. And then the other thing that I observed from your resume, Adam, was you're looking for a full-time job and you started with education. See, if I were a hiring manager, like you were saying earlier, I'd be looking for experience. So after we fix up everything that you have in research and experience and some of the projects, we're going to raise that higher. So that's the first thing that they see.
okay,
And then you will hear from some of the other resumes that we're looking at that some other people strategically use a summary. A summary is not for everybody. Okay. But you will find that out shortly as we take a look at some of the other resumes.
okay.
Any pressing questions that you have, Adam, before I go to Ivan's resume?
No, I'm good.
All right, cool. Was that helpful?
Yeah,
Okay, you're going to learn some more when we go to Ivan and then Kushagra.
all right.
Dundee, any questions in the background?
No
Okay, so
question.
far so good.
Yeah.
All right, Ivan, share
Yeah.
your resume, please. So Ivan and I have worked on his resume for a little bit. He kind of got an internship and he was adding some of the information onto the resume that we're about to see. So one of my first questions to Ivan when he had an appointment with me was, are you adding this experience just for the sake of adding it, or is it directly related to the job that you're applying to? And Ivan said, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I know. I was adding it for the sake.
You were just adding it for the sake of putting it in to be complete.
Yes, yes.
All right. Did everybody hear that?
Yeah.
I want to discuss that a little bit with everybody. Okay. So chime in. Okay. The reason I was very specifically asking Ivan about whether he was just putting it for the sake of being complete, or was this directly related to the job description? The reason we discuss resume design principle number 1 is if you want to be called in for an interview, we said in design principle number 2 that they're very busy. So I guess I just reminded Ivan that if he wanted to be effective, he needs to make it relevant. And to
Yes,
his
yes.
point, he just said it's not relevant. So why are we even talking, Ivan? I suspect you have another angle. So let me hear it, please.
No, I was saying like the first time I was just putting for the sake, but then
Oh, but this
after,
one is the changes that you put in for my review today is
yes,
relevant.
yeah, it's relevant. But for
Oh,
the
very
first
good.
time, yeah,
Well,
for the
thank you for
fir-
allowing me that opportunity to explain that. Any questions, Kushagra, Adam, or Dundee, about the point I was making that you don't just add stuff to your resume just because you have a new experience? And
Yeah.
Ivan was asked that question, and now he said, no, it's related. And here is what he wanted to check out. So,
Yeah, so I was specifically like I wanted to reach out with you like with regards to the format of the resume and the things I want to show to the recruiter. So
mhm.
while working with the ChatGPT tool, how you told me like since I have like these certifications, they are kind of like important in my field, and I wanted the recruiter to see them at some point. So that's why I was thinking of creating this field and also like highlighting the skills first, so such that they could put all
You're
the
applying
other
for an
word.
internship, right?
No, full-time role.
Full-time. Okay, here's a question for you for full-time job. If I were a cybersecurity manager hiring, what's more important to me, education or experience?
Experience.
Okay, so that answer tells me which category should be higher in the resume. Remember, we said they're very busy.
Okay.
Okay, same question. In your field in cybersecurity, I'm the cybersecurity hiring manager. What's more important to me, your certification or your experience?
Yeah, the experience counts.
Okay, so do you see how you formatted your resume and you're not addressing design principle number 2? I'm not hearing a reaction.
Yeah, number two was
Well,
number
design principle
one.
number 2 said they're very busy. You better give them what they're looking for, easy and fast, because they don't have a lot of time, right? When you put everything down and your expectation is for them to read everything before they make an assessment, good luck. Okay? Because they're very busy, their eyes all over the place. Actually, their eyes going to start at the top. So people use a summary to catch their attention if their experience is all over the place. Okay, so let's take a look at your summary.
Yeah, the summary.
No, let's see your summary. Is this your final summary or not yet?
No, this is the final summary I had come up
Okay.
with.
Certified cybersecurity professional. I would put the certifications that are important if you wanted to, because certified means anything.
But because of the space in the resume and the things I wanted to show, like it could keep the summary straight to the point, and the certifications would be
Well,
down to avoid the repetition.
you're worried about repetition, but strategically, what do they look at first? Your certification section or your summary section?
Summary.
So do you understand where I'm going? It's still
Yeah.
your resume, okay? Design principle number 4 says whatever advice is out there, including mine, it's your call whether you apply it or not, okay? But I'm talking to you because you kind of agree that they're very busy, right? So their eyes go to your summary first, and you said, oh no, I don't want to put it on top because I have it below.
Yes, yes.
That's what you said?
Yes.
Okay. So did you catch the point that I was trying to make? If somebody said, like, for example, the job description was looking for comp TIA certification, let's just assume that, okay, for the job
Yes.
description, I won't wait until they get to the certifications part. I would put it in the summary,
Okay.
okay? So contrast your summary compared to that Benjamin resume that we looked at earlier.
Okay, let me look for it.
No, just give me a general sense of it. Do you think your summary is impressive? That's
Yeah,
an easy question. It's
it
yes
is
or no.
not. It is not, but yes,
Okay, I don't want to hear the
while
but. Hang on, hang on. I don't want to hear the but because when you give them a resume, you can't say but. Okay, what they see is what they're going to assess your resume for. Did you notice you trying to explain yourself, Ivan?
yes.
Resume can't explain.
Okay, so I have this other one. Let me show you.
Okay. Anybody have comments on the discussion that we have? I want this to be interactive because I want you to get something out of the discussion. It seems like I'm talking to you guys individually, but no, I'm talking to everybody every time.
Yeah,
Dundee,
I understand.
reactions,
Yeah, no,
disagreements?
I agree. Just it being, I mean, I don't know if that has any bearing that it's 2 lines long.
Well, not necessarily. I can have 2 lines, but if it's impressive after impressive word, then
Yeah,
the length is not really it. But that's why I asked Ivan if he was impressed. And then he started giving me explanations. You
yeah,
can't give explanations when they read your resume, right?
yeah.
They get what they get with what you said. That's why I'm kind of like very critical in the way that I speak to you guys, because if you're not getting calls, that's the reason.
Yeah, so I have this one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is this more impressive, Ivan?
the issue I have with this one is
No.
because
Answer my question, please. Training for you guys. If you're in a job interview, they ask you a question, answer it. Okay. Don't just divert to some other topic. Okay. So I ask you a question, Ivan. Is this summary more impressive than the last one?
yes, it is more detailed.
Okay. Very good. Why?
It is more detailed and
Detailed is not why it's more impressive.
yeah, it highlights the most important things I want to show.
Is it relative to the job description?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. So tell me why the other version still exists.
So the other one, what I actually like, I came up with the other one later after having this one. So just to try to reduce the wordings of the resume and to only keep the information that since you said like there is no time, I was thinking that if I only put one line, it would reduce the wording in the resume, which keeps it to the point.
But you saw my reaction to it, right?
Yes.
And it wasn't just my reaction. I asked you if it was impressive, and then you showed me this. Do you see what's
So
going on?
yeah, it's just that. So the other one I thought was the improved version of this because this one like looks to have a lot of wordings, which somehow
Well,
feels
that's the
like
entire resume. I'm just talking about the summary, man. I haven't even gotten to the meat of your resume. Do you get that?
yeah, I get it. I get it.
Are you able to apply the information based on the critique that you're getting relative to the design principles?
Yes, yes, I get.
Okay. So if you had this summary, because you were concerned that the other version was shorter. So what if we put this in the other version, and then which one do you want me to review? This version or the other one?
This one.
Okay. So here's the thing also, Ivan, you've been with me through a few of these resume sessions. At some point, you really don't need Bernie to be saying, hey, you need to change this, you need to change this, because the design principles pretty much tell you what you need to change, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So if this is what you want me to review, I want you to self-assess what you need to change. I'm just reading what I'm seeing on the screen. I'm more impressed by this. Ivan?
Yeah, it's I need to it's kind of congested. It's a lot of wordings.
Yes. So that's where I think I referred you to ChatGPT, because ChatGPT could help you. If you have all the facts, you could tell it to make it the bullet more results, concise, results oriented, and keep on telling it to do it over and over until it gives you what you want. Right? You don't need Bernie Floresca to do that.
Yeah, I get.
So give
So
me questions where you need direction because you have all the tools, really.
yeah, the question I had was, so for to come to your point of they don't have time, right? And they're
Mhm.
skimming through.
Mhm.
So if you look at this resume and this other previous one which I had,
Mhm.
this one looks kind of difficult to peruse through because of the fact it has a lot of information.
Okay. So you have a point, but you're the one who knows the job description and what your results are. I can't really call it. If you're just asking me to visually say which one is better, I'd go with the one with more white space. But you're the one who knows what they're looking for and what your background is. Are you seeing where I'm getting at and why I'm kind of like uncomfortable with that question? The reason you guys are being taught all of this information, because I'm not the one looking at the job description and I'm not you. You're the one with the experience. You're the one who's supposed to think about how you're relevant to that company and then present it. So my difficulty with this conversation is, Ivan, I expect you to know how to find it. And then if you had a question about specific thing, you say, hey, Bernie, the third sentence, I couldn't like reword that with GPT. What's your opinion? Is what I'm kind of looking for, but I'm still talking about design principles with you here. Any specific questions?
No, I don't have specific questions.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll give you time to think about that. I want Kushagra and Adam and even Dundee now to see how well. No, let's see your resume. I'm going to make you case study. I want the other people to talk about it because that's how you guys are learning. The problem with looking at your own resumes is at some point in time you get subjective because it's yours. So I want people to practice on your resume. Ivan, I think this is pretty good, but the problem with this is your relevance, and only you can say that. I can't even do that because I'm not the one studying the job description, and I don't have your experience. So let's go, Adam. What do you think of this relative to the things that we talk about your resume? What do you like about Ivan's version? I'm going to ask you the same question, Dundee and Kushagra. What do you like about Ivan's resume relative to the design principles?
Well, I like the summary on top. I had a
Yeah.
question about the summary too, because I'm working on fixing my resume based on the comments, but I'll talk about
Okay.
that later.
See,
I
Ivan,
have a
you kind of helped Adam, so thank
I
you.
have a I have a thing about you were talking about relevance,
Mhm.
and just as I'm looking at the screen, does something like a scholarship have relevance?
Big
Is
time,
that something
big time.
putting a scholarship is relevant for it,
Well,
you're saying?
it's telling them you're an accomplished person that
Okay.
people are giving you money and recognizing
Yeah.
you for that, right? It's a result.
Okay.
And actually, Ivan, while Adam was talking, I noticed your first line. Your first line is kind of like I would probably start with the MS, cybersecurity, whatever, versus talking about results-driven cybersecurity professional with a proven track record. The first sentence reminds me of the old way of writing summaries. It's all about fluff. Your first sentence is fluff, but the sentences after, it's all result, result, result.
Yeah.
Would you agree, Adam?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
That's what I said earlier, Ivan. When I looked at this, I'm like, I'm more impressed by this than the first,
if
than
it
the,
if it if it if it was a ChatGPT written one, or like where you have a pre-written and you're putting it in there and you're saying give me results driven or results oriented summary, it definitely seems like a fluff starter that ChatGPT would do.
I know.
Specifically saying, oh,
That's why you
results
use it
driven.
as to generate ideas, but it's never the final.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're noticing that, Adam.
I
But
also have a quick question about, so the scholarship where he has it in education, I have it at the bottom in like awards or honors or whatever. Would it
remember,
would it have a better
remember,
yeah,
what did we say about the busy hiring manager? You're
he doesn't have time
expecting
to read all
them,
this stuff.
you're
Yeah.
expecting them to read everything and then go like, oh, wow. If it's a
Yeah.
big deal, you better talk about it immediately.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So
yeah.
actually, I like how you asked that question, Adam. So whenever anybody has any question about what to do with your resume, that's why I share the design principles. Those design principles answer any question. Does it make sense, Adam?
Yeah.
Did you see how you said that? When you
Mhm.
asked me, is a scholarship is something that was a big deal? And then that's design principle number two. Number one, results. Okay,
Now,
scholarship.
one more question.
Mhm.
So I ended up changing, and I put my research experience at the top. Underneath that or above that, should I put my projects?
What's
What do you
relevant to the
think is?
job description? It's not about what I think. It's about what's
Yeah.
relevant to the job description.
Okay.
Do you see that, Adam?
Mhm.
Even I can't say it. Okay. It's
Yeah, it
always about the
depends.
job description.
Okay.
I like these discussions, Adam, because I mean, you guys are quote unquote programmed in a certain way when you think about resumes, and then I'm kind of like shifting the information with the design principles. So I'm seeing the shift in the way that you're speaking, and then you catch it. Is that just my observation, or is that what's happening with
No,
you?
I'm currently working on.
Okay, you're actually learning
Thanks,
some
man.
stuff to apply, right?
Yeah.
Very good. Kushagra, quick words. What do you like about Ivan's resume?
So one thing I like is talking about accomplishments, like results. And in summary, I have few points which I think it is too wordy. So
Yeah,
like
he already said that. Yeah,
he has tried to put everything like GPA certifications and what he has experience in.
well,
So
GPA
I
is
think
4.0. I would probably put it, but I wouldn't. The way he said holder of a perfect, dude, they already know it's perfect. You don't have to say holder of a perfect. Just say GPA 4.0 and I'd bold the 4.0. So he has the right idea, but to your point, Kushagra, it's wordy. Ivan, did you catch that?
Yes, yes.
All right, good.
so
Thank you,
I think to
Kushagra.
make it less wordy,
Mm-hmm.
I have one more point. So to make it less wordy, suppose like uh, some description mentions that they need only 3.5 or above. So at that time, we can mention 4.0.
Yeah,
Some ask about certification, then only we can uh, write certifications.
yeah.
And so
Okay.
like he can change the description according to the job description. So he can change the
Always about the job description. But to your point, nobody's asking about GPA usually, but it's quite an accomplishment because it's perfect. That's why you
yeah.
put it in the
Sometimes they ask
summary.
like they need 3.5 or above only, something like that.
Well, even if they didn't ask it, 4.0 is still an accomplishment.
Yeah,
You see what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So I would put it in the summary too, if I had the 4.0.
Okay.
But Ivan, Kushagra gave you the same feedback. And I think that's how you were using GPT originally to lessen the number of words. So the work that you and I can do, and I was surprised actually when I saw you send me because you wanted a resume review. You know how I work. I don't do whole resume reviews because I give you the same feedback that I just did right now. So what I'd like you to do is say, hey, Bernie, this is the problem part. You write down what the problem part is. You give me your change, and then I can give you feedback. And then we keep on going back and forth that way. But when you give me a whole resume like this, I'm like, what do I do with this? I already taught you how to do this. You see that,
Yeah,
Ivan? So what I'm
yeah, yeah.
expecting from you is the difficulty. If you're not liking what GPT is saying you, send me a DM on LinkedIn and just say, hey, Bernie, this is the original. This is my rewrite. What do you think?
Okay. Yeah, maybe to the point of the first person you're trying to help out. So I also like didn't have experience, but I read about all this
Oh, did you
project.
hear this, Adam? Ivan's
Say
trying to
that again, please.
share this with you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't have any projects. I think the last discussion I came with Bernie, so I was just confused, like what should I write in my experience? So he told me to go and look at my projects, and actually I came up with all this because I've actually done all these projects.
Are
But
these
you know,
projects you did during the school year, or are these like side stuff that you did?
During my course, some of it is my
actually,
coursework. Everything is my coursework.
Okay.
that's irrelevant, Adam. If it's a project that you have relative to what they have, I don't care where you did it. That high
Really?
school student did it at home.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
If
so
it's
it
relevant,
doesn't matter where it comes from, just
nope.
it's relevant. I mean, I don't even have
Yep.
to say it like it was a coursework thing, right? Just
Yes.
make it my own.
Yes. And did you see how impressive Ivan's rewrite is? And the
Yeah.
part that we were talking about earlier about descriptions, he's not just describing. Look at how he's giving you results.
I mean, the thing that's eye-catching to me is just seeing numbers and percentages.
Yes, numbers are the easiest way to give your reader a quick feel of your impact. Sometimes you can't, but yes, numbers are a good way to put that impact. And Ivan did a fantastic job with this. So I think you're getting closer to the finished product, Ivan. It's just to Kushagra's point. It's too many characters. You need to be character ninja.
Yes, yes.
But did you notice that, Ivan? I mean, people looking at your resume for the first time, it's impressive. So you're getting there. And
Yeah,
I
okay.
see
I
you
think
applying.
yeah, the problem I have right now is to get to analyze the feedback from the ChatGPT and make my own decision. So I think mostly like I'm being discouraged by it. So I think
Okay.
that's what I have to deal with.
I'm glad you said that. So let me address that. Whenever you have a problem with the way GPT is writing it, this is what you need to have in your bullets. Okay. So for everybody, you need to talk about your results, and anything else that you have should just be enough detail to frame the result. Okay. That's how you get rid of wordiness. You need to focus on the result, just have enough detail to frame the result. Everything else is extra. You can talk about it during the interview. Did that make sense, Ivan?
Yes, yes.
So when you're looking at GPT and you're giving it, you saw some of the ways with the links in the index, right? It's saying, hey, GPT, ask me at least 2 questions per bullet so that you can give me a more concise, results-oriented, and impactful bullet, right? And then if it gives you an answer, just say, give me 10 more versions of that. Have you been doing that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I've been trying to work with
So it's
that.
really your prompt engineering. So I'm hoping that the overarching way to design a bullet is really whatever the result is, just give it enough detail so that they get what you accomplish. Anything else is extra. And also, I notice another improvement that you could do in your bullets, Ivan, is remember star and reverse star.
Reverse tab.
Reverse star. It's a strategy for interviews, but it shows up in resumes as well because you're kind of like giving them the background. You're talking about the situation, the task, the action, and then the result. Okay. But even in a
I've not covered
resume,
it with you. I've not covered star
well, I'm
with
just
you.
saying, you can just
Yeah.
Google star. It's a
Okay.
strategy for interview where you talk about the situation, the task, the action, and the result. Okay. What I'm just saying is this method might be better used as reverse start. Always start with your result. So let's say your second bullet, you said evaluated policies on access control, incident responses, and encryption. You see how you're giving all these details, Ivan?
Yes.
Policies on access control, incident response. Do you really need to say all that? Your accomplishment, however, is saying improving the adherence to federal cybersecurity by 20%. So I would start that bullet by saying improved federal adherence requirements by 20%, and then comma, evaluated policies. I mean, do you really need all of that rest of that detail? Was that all required in the job description?
No, not really.
Okay, so did you see what I just did with your second bullet? I grabbed the
Yes.
result, which was you're improving the adherence by 20%. I put it in the beginning of the sentence, and then I kind of gave it some more detail that would frame the 20%. Anything else is extra.
Yes,
Save it
yes,
for
yes.
the interview.
Yes.
Make sense?
Yeah, so I could also keep it to lesser because if I
Well,
use that method, I could keep it to one line or
that's
something.
exactly. And that was kind of what caught Kushagra's eye as well. Adam and Dundee, I'm hoping you're learning from the fine tuning with somebody else's resume, and I'm hoping that you can see changes in your resume because of discussion.
Yeah.
Dundee, anything to add?
Oh yeah, I mean, nothing much.
Sorry?
I have nothing much to add on.
Nothing to add? Are you learning anything?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually really learning very much.
Okay, very good. So Ivan, any
Yeah.
last things? We have 10 more minutes and I'd like to spend it with Kushagra
Yeah, no
unless
problem.
somebody is
I can stop
dying.
sharing.
You already know what to do, right, Ivan?
Yes, I know where
Okay.
to go and start from. Thank you so
So
much.
like I requested Ivan, you kind of like say, hey, Bernie, I don't like what GPT said me, despite, spending an hour on GPT. Just say, this is the words. This is my final version that I'm kind of liking, but it's still not what I like. And then ask for my feedback.
Okay, all right. Thank
And
you.
then we just go from bullet to bullet to bullet. Because if you give me a whole resume, man, I'm like the busy hiring managers. I have no time to read entire resumes. Ask me direct questions if you want. Make sense?
Yes.
Good
Thank you.
job, Ivan. I mean, I can tell the difference. And as you're noticing from the feedback for this call, it's getting impressive. You're getting there.
Okay, thank you.
Good job, man. If you need to leave too or whatever, my feelings aren't hurt. If you got what you need from resume, you can leave. I'm going to cut the recording. I could send this to you as well. And then at 11 o'clock, we're going to start the strategy. Okay, so feel free to drop off, come back on at 11 if you had to do something. So Kushagra, last 10 minutes, sir.
Yeah, I'm sharing.
Adam, is this helpful?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
want
I'm
you to
just
give me a first assessment of Kushagra's resume. Make it bigger, Kushagra. That was good.
Yeah.
So I want to hear
Is this
first
fine?
impression. Yeah, first impression from Adam and Dundee, please.
he's got his education first. I know we were talking about that earlier.
Are you looking for internship, Kushagra?
Yes, I'm currently
Yeah.
looking for
So that's
internships.
how you do
Okay.
it for internships. Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Results oriented stuff like the numbers are also bolded, which makes them pop more. Brings your attention to that. Projects at the end. Your list of projects. When you're putting a project on something, would you need to describe more about it? Or is something like this fine? Like bullet
Depends on
point,
what it's
just
all relative to the job description, man. So
okay.
I'm hoping Kushagra is focused on the job description, and what he's presenting here is what they're looking for.
Okay.
So do you have an answer to that, Kushagra, based on what Adam asked or shared?
About the description
Projects.
of project?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to frame it as per job description.
Okay.
If you're trying to frame it per job description, are these, I see you have 5 bullets. You're not consistent with results.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree or disagree?
Like the
In the
second
project?
experience only has 1 bullet, and then the third experience has 4 bullets. Is that something?
It doesn't matter how many they have, you put what's relevant. So the number of bullets is not it, Adam. It's what they're looking for. So you can have 6 bullets or you could have 1 bullet. It's really dependent on what you have on the table.
Mhm.
It's not a set number saying, hey, you need to have 2 bullets per experience.
Mhm.
Right?
I
So Kushagra, what's the job title you're applying to?
For software engineer internships.
Okay, software engineer internship. So is your most impressive background Strawman?
Yeah,
What's your second most impressive?
the Rakuten,
What's the third most impressive?
TCS.
Okay, and fourth, I'm assuming is basis.
Yeah,
And then fifth and sixth are your projects.
yeah.
So for Adam and Dundee, in Kushagra's case, his experience chronologically falls or superimposes directly into what the company is looking for. So in his case, he doesn't even need a summary because when they're reading from top to bottom, it's also according to priority. Did you
Mhm.
understand that, Adam and Dundee?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so for Kushagra's case, it's falling very nicely with chronology. So that's why he didn't necessarily need a summary. So other general comments, Adam?
I have a general thing to ask you. You were saying summaries work for some people and some not. So for
Mhm.
this one where he has a lot of relevant experience and projects where it does fall chronologically, he doesn't need a summary.
Yeah. Because Strawman is, I asked him, did you notice? I was asking him, what's the top priority you want them to see? He said, Strawman. What's next? Rakuten. What's next? Tata.
Yeah,
So it's like falling according to the way you would read a sheet of paper. Had I asked him that question and then he said, Agile software is the most impressive. And what's the second most impressive? He goes, Strawman. What's the third most impressive? My open source contribution. He's all over the
yeah,
place.
all over the place. Yeah,
So that, if he keeps it in the same format, is it assuming they're going to read the entire thing to see if it's relevant? And that's where a summary would be to his benefit, because what the summary now is you can curate exactly what you want them to see first. Kind of
Yeah.
like Benjamin. He curated it. And then he said, here, you were looking for these things. These are my results. Call me for an interview. Is really the effect of that summary if you did it that way. And in
Yeah.
this case, not necessary, because they would go to his first job. They'd be like, oh, second job. Oh, he's relevant immediately,
yeah,
according to his background. So
Yeah.
was that question answered, Anna?
yeah. It was. Yeah.
Dundee, questions?
Yeah, no questions.
Ivan, general comments?
About the resume?
About Kushagra's resume.
Um, yeah, I think somehow there is a lot of listing in the description, the job where there's the roles have to be like you have to give the accomplishment. There is a lot of listing, so you can say in the first one, there is Java, like technologies utilized, technologies utilized, technologies utilized. So maybe if you could find a way to combine it into like one area, and then you could leave this
Well,
place.
hang on, but he used it for that job, though.
But since they're all like kind of the same,
Well,
since
it's the same, but that's driving the point that he knows his stuff. He used it in more than just one job. I see what you're saying, in that you're suggesting that it's redundant because he used it in most of his experiences. But that's his experience. I personally wouldn't change it because I'm driving the point home that I know that technology and I worked on it at these various companies.
okay.
Does that make sense? I see where you're coming from. You'll be like, hey, Floresca, you said you got to be character ninja. He's talking about the same thing in various bullets, so he can just like put it at one place. No, not in this particular case. Because Kushagra is making the case that he's good at that technology and he applied it not just at one spot or work, but I mean, take Ivan's advice, Kushagra, with a grain of salt, because obviously he's going from the direction of being a character ninja. See if you have ways to get rid of that, but you also heard my point, right, Kushagra?
Yeah.
So you make
So-
the final decision.
And then maybe also like, isn't it a problem like if there's one job description has like 3 points, another one has 1 point, another one has 4 points, another one has 3 points?
Mhm.
Isn't that like two kind of, can there be like some room for consistency?
Consistency. Are you kidding me? You think the busy hiring manager is going to say, oh, this one has 2 bullets. Oh, this one has 5 bullets. Dude, it's about relevance, right?
Mm.
If my relevance to what they're looking for is in 1 bullet, by all means. If I were the hiring manager, I'm not going to complain because you're not consistently at 4 bullets. Does it make sense? Actually, I'm glad you brought that up again because Adam asked me that question earlier. And apparently you were still thinking differently. Does that make sense to you, Ivan?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's not about number of bullets and being consistent with a or any number of bullets. It's about your relevance. So we really don't care how many. It's a matter of what do you have, and you want to tell it to them in the least amount of characters. Did you see how I generalized all of that?
Yes,
In
I
the
get.
least amount of characters based on your background and their job description. So it's not a matter of consistency. It's a matter of communicating your value relative to what they want.
Okay, I got it.
Make sense?
Yes.
Adam, so I guess we can thank Ivan. He kind of like drove the point home again for you because you had that question earlier.
Yeah.
So, Kushagra,
Yeah, I have one question about the star method. So here, since we have very limited characters, so we cannot explain the situation and the task. We can only
no,
explain action and
no.
result.
Hang on. Star is a method for interviewing. It's not a
Okay,
resume thing, but
okay,
the reason I use it is because a lot of people understand it from interviewing strategy, and then it sort of shows up
You're done?
in the resume, right?
okay,
Because you're still talking about, whatever, and then the result. I'm just saying, hook them with your result first, and then give them details.
okay,
Did that make sense? You don't have to talk about the situation, the task, the action. That's for interviewing.
okay,
So in a resume, it's usually describe your result. And I mean, you could do situation task, but to your point, that's quite lengthy. And I go back to what I was telling you guys earlier. You should have a result, give them only as much detail. Don't talk about the situation, task, action. You just give them enough detail so that they get, so that they understand what your result was. So did you notice like Ivan's resume earlier? He was giving all these details about the actions he took and then what he was changing. All that wasn't really necessary. Make
okay.
sense? So go back to the top of your resume, and we're going over 1101 right now. Do you see the format that's suggested by Career Services in the hashtag resume?
Yes,
I would suggest you use that because it's much, much cleaner.
okay,
It's a personal style, but me looking at this, it's I don't know if I'm biased maybe. Also for your dates for education, they only want end dates. The start date and end date is usually for jobs because they want to know how long you worked there. So you see how you in projects you just put the end date or maybe it just so happened to just be completed in 1
it
month.
was in 1 month.
Yeah,
Yeah,
education needs to be like that, just your end date. And then you
okay,
say Illinois Institute of Technology, comma, Chicago, and then on the right side, it's just all dates, including your experience. So
where?
follow that
Sorry.
template in the resume, okay?
But in VMOOC, when I uploaded my resume, so it was saying
Now,
that your dates are not consistent.
would you
In
rather
the
have
education.
a human intelligence or would you rather have artificial intelligence?
Human.
Okay, so back to what you said, VMOOC is suggested to you guys so that when you come to us, it's not from scratch. So at this point, pretty much, you pass VMOOC. That's why you're here talking to me. And if you notice, I took the conversation to a higher level because I'm not even
Okay,
just talking about formatting. I'm talking about content now.
okay,
So, but remember design principle number 4, it's your resume. So, you could disregard
hmm,
any advice that's also given you because you're the one presenting themselves. But I was giving you a first impression based on what I was seeing also.
okay.
Helpful?
Yeah.
Any final questions, Kushagra? About
No,
resume?
no.
Dundee? No questions?
No question.
All right, guys, I'm going to end this recording so people can hear it as a resume recording. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we will see you shortly.